Remember in the srsly's episode I said that Malayalam has an unnecessarily complex character for the sound But if I thought it ended there, it didn't, so here's the entire episode. Whoa! Hello everyone, Nilaanjan on this side, and today we are going to talk about the Malayalam script. Malayalam is the second least curvy script among the big four old Dravidian scripts. This is the trend for the next few episodes. Anyway, without wasting any more time, let's get to the history of the Malayalam script. Most of the history we are going to discuss will begin from the later end of the 9th century, but do keep in mind that the language itself predates Jesus. As this is a video on a South Indian script with a lot of South Indian names, and I am a North Indian, I am obligated by the Odyssey to some pronunciation, so here goes nothing. Before the existence of the Malayalam script itself, the Malayalam language was written using the now extinct Vaatezhuttu script, about which we had already discussed in the Tamil episode. After the Vaatezhuttu script, the Grantha script was used to write Malayalam. Both of these scripts didn't only used to write Malayalam but also Sanskrit. Now this information may seem very random at first, but do keep in mind that number one, Malayalam and Sanskrit are two completely unrelated languages. One is a Indo-Aryan language and one is a Dravidian language. Second, and the most important part is that Sanskrit is the language in which major texts of Hinduism were written. You know, texts like Rig Ved, Samved, Yajurved, Atharvaved, Srimad Bhagavad Gita, Ramayana and the Mahabharata. So it was important to jot these down into a script in which people who didn't know the Sanskrit script or the Devanagari script could read. By the way, if you are talking about religion, did you know that Christianity, Judaism and Islam arrived in Kerala, the place where Malayalam is written and spoken, before the USA? Well, given that USA had its foreign contacts late after the 17th century, doesn't this make this pretty obvious? Middle Malayalam or Madhyama Malayalam in the Malayalam language originated in the 15th century AD. It was marked by the poet Cheruseri Nambudiri with his poem Krishna Gatha. Aside from the script, even the language he used is what linguists refer to as modern Malayalam. So kudos. In the 16th century AD, the authors Thunchattu Erutachan from Pannur and Poontanam Nambudiri from Baluvanad used the language inspired by Cheruseri Nambudiri. The Adhyatma Ramayana Kilipattu, written by Thunchattu Erutachan, and the Mahabharata Kiritipattu, written by Yanappan, are known to use the earliest form of the modern Malayalam script. Thunchattu Erutachan not only did these things, but he also added the influence of other scripts like Vaatezhuttu, Kothiruttu and the Grantha script to his writing system, while also eliminating characters which he deemed as unnecessary. Given that, he is often referred to as the father of modern Malayalam language and the Malayalam script. And we haven't done this in a previous episode of interesting scripts, you know, the srsly's and the Tamil script, but from now on we will add a segment in which we will discuss the scripts used to write the languages written by those scripts before these scripts got replaced. In this episode too, we are going to discuss what scripts were used to write the Malayalam language before these scripts got replaced by its current one. First is the Vaatezhuttu script. Now this name has occurred quite a lot since the last episode, but actually Vaatezhuttu is a Malayalam word which means town writing. As we discussed earlier, it was used to write the Malayalam language before the 9th century AD. The script itself gave birth to the Tidigari script, which was used to write Tulu and Sanskrit in coastal Karnataka. Next script is the Ponnani script. This script is not a Brahmi script which originated in India. In fact, it is a modified version of the Arabic script which was suited to write Malayalam in the 18th century AD. This was used in India till the early half of the 20th century by Malayali Muslims, and after that it is used by the Malayali immigrants living in the Gulf nations, Malaysia and Singapore. Third script is the Grantha script. Given that Grantha was used to write Malayalam before the first ever evidence of the Malayalam script was documented, doesn't this make this pretty damn obvious? In the next few years, typing and the whole concept of a typewriter came to India. So like any other script, Malayalam script also had to, suit itself for the working conditions of a typewriter. So in the year 1971, the government of Kerala called for a research and development program for the modification of the Malayalam script. The objective was not only to simplify, but to reduce the amount of glyphs. Vocabulary alert: glyph here means characters that conjoin together to form new characters or characters that look completely different than the sounds they are supposed to mean. In simpler words, those who have ever written an Abhigida script on a computer like Devanagari, Tamil, Telugu, Sinhalese, Thai or Amharic, you know that script modifies itself as it goes on in a computer. So what were the reforms brought by the Kerala government? 1. Vowel characters for U, U and G were made non-ligating. Ligating means conjoining, alright. This is the technical term used in orthographic documents. Second, a character named Brave, we will discuss what it is later in the episode, was replaced by Chillura. We will also discuss this about later. Hold on. 3. Uncommon consonant conjunctions were split using a character named Chandrakala, which means that you don't have to form a completely new character for an uncommon sound you probably won't use again. I know I threw quite a lot of words at you, and those above the age of 50, yes, I was speaking English. Hold on, these terms will get explained later in this episode. or just skip to the chapter. I've included chapters in this episode. Now let's head to the next segment where we will discuss its relation with other scripts. First is the Tamil script. As we discussed in the Tamil episode, the Malayalam script was written using the Grantha script at the time the Tamil script originated. Besides that, both are neighboring scripts which have influenced each other due to contact and trade. Second is the Telugu script. Telugu was used to write Tulu language and sometimes even used to write today alongside the Kannada script. Like the Malayalam script, it also originated from the Grantha script. Third is the Devehi Akuru script. The Devehi Akuru is not a very well-known script. It used to write the Devehi language of the Maldives. It isn't well researched on, but linguists are quite sure about it that it originated from the Grantha script because of its diverging patterns and lesser-known contacts from other scripts. Fourth is the Saurashtra script. It is a lesser-known script, but it is also used to write the Saurashtra language spoken in the southern parts of Tamil Nadu. Like rest of the scripts we discussed, it also originated from the Grantha script, which basically implies that the last few scripts we discussed are either siblings or cousins depending on how many layers of evolution they went through. Now let's discuss the inner workings of the script. But before that, let's look at some characteristics and then get to the actual characters. Malayalam is classified as an abugida, which means it puts vowel markings all around consonants. The earliest documents of the Malayalam script date back to 830 AD, though of course it has been updated many times. It was written from left to right just like Latin, Devanagari or Cyrillic. It is used to write languages such as Malayalam, Sanskrit, Tulu, Jesiri, Konkani, Paniya, Bettukurumba and Ravula. The ancestry of the script goes like this: from Proto-Semitic to Phoenician to Aramaic to Brahmi to Tamil Brahmi to Pallava to Grantha, and then finally ending up to be the Malayalam script we know and love today. Now let's head to the actual characters, shall we? Malayalam has 14 vowels plus 2 diphthong vowels, vowel characters that represent 2 vowels at the same time, plus 2 characters named Anuswar and Anunasik. So in total, 18 consonants are represented. We will discuss what those vowels are later. For now, let's look at the numbers. When it comes to consonants, Malayalam has 36 different consonants for 36 different consonant sounds. There are 2 extra Tamil characters which are used for the transcription of the Tamil script into Malayalam. These characters are not considered actual consonants according to Malayali grammarians. The 14 basic vowel sounds represented are a, I, u, r, l, e, o and o. There are 2 diphthong vowels, I and au. There are 2 more namesake vowels which are in linguistics and consonants, but in the script these are used as vowels. These are the Anuswar and the Visarg. Anuswar is pronounced as but it technically has a nasal consonant before the consonants like anda, anga and so on. Visarga on the other hand offers an aspiration after the vowel, which means it adds a very minor h sound after vowels like I, u and so on. Now here on, the consonants are divided into 3 sections. The first 25 characters are the Varga consonants, which consists of plosives and nasal sounds. Next are the Antastaha and the Ushmi consonants, which consist of other sounds like fricatives, taps, flaps, trills, approximants, etc. etc. The last category doesn't have a name, but these contain characters for the sounds which are either completely native to Malayalam script, but also those characters which can be used to transcribe the Tamil script into the Malayalam script exclusively. The first category represents sounds for ka, kha, ga, gha, nga, cha, cha, ja, jha, nya, ta, tha, da, dha, na, ta, tha, da, da, na, pa, pha, ba, bha and ma. In the second category, they are characters for the sounds ya, ra, la, wa, sha, shra, sa and ha. The last category, as we discussed, doesn't have a name but represents native Malayalam and Tamil sounds like la, ra, ta and ra. The ra sound exists only in Tamil and Malayalam as a separate character and not an accent variation. Aside from these characters, Malayalam also has a different set of characters for non-vowel consonants. These characters are called chillus. These characters don't need a mark to indicate that these are non-vowel consonants. The rest of the characters do. Malayalam represents these chillus for the sound na, ra, la, ka, ma, ya and ra. The chillus for ra, la and la historically derive from the graphemes for ra, ta and ta. The chillus for ma, ya and ra are not in present day use. If you have to represent non-vowel characters for the sounds whose graphemes don't have chillus, you will use the Chandrakala like we discussed earlier. Now Chandrakala is this moon-shaped character. Chandrakala literally means moon-alike in Malayalam, which is put above the consonant as an abugida to mark the consonant as non-vowel. like the example you are seeing on the screen. Moving on to the next section. Like we discussed earlier, ligation means to conjoin two different characters. Now there is more than a single way to ligate consonants in Malayalam. Just take the examples of these two consonants, C1 and C2. One way you would just conjoin C1 with the modified version of C2 and vice versa. Second way, you would take both C1 and C2 with their modified versions and conjoin them together. Third way, you would conjoin C1 and C2 without any modification in C1 and C2 but with a Chandrakala on the top. Fourth way, you just form a completely new character that represents the sounds from C1 and C2, which technically doesn't count as ligation but still. Now, some characters are ligated so often that the Malayalam script has different characters to represent these sounds. Let's look at some examples. For the consonant year, this character is added to the conjoining character. There is also a diagram for the R sound before the consonant and after a vowel, like we discussed earlier. This is called ref. This dot is used to represent it, and this is how it's used. Now we are done with this segment. Now let's head to the final segment of this video. Remember the Tamil script episode? We discussed that there are numbers for not only 0, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 and 9, but also for 10, 100 and 1000. So we were pretty much confused how to write 101 in this language. Well, what we had to say is that in this episode, this would get cleared immediately. Malayalam not only represents characters for the numbers 0, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 and 9, but also 10, 100, 1000, 1/4, half and 3/4. Now if you want to write 101, it would be written as 100 plus 1. 2013 will be written as 2010 and 3. Logic is that when multiplying numbers, you put the larger number after the main number, like 200, 300, 500 and so on. While adding, you put the digit numeral like 10, 100 and 1000 first, and then put the unit numeral like 1, 2, 3, etc. Of course, this system wouldn't support large numbers like lakhs, crores, millions and billions. This script was pretty much eradicated, and now the Hindu-Arabic numeral system took its place. This script, in which we call the English script, despite it being originated in India and propagated by the Arabic trade. Aside from this, Malayalam has some symbols that are used almost in everyday writing. First is the prashlesham, which increases the stress on the vowel. This is used to write certain Sanskrit loan words. Second is the Malayalam date mark. This is used to denote dates and stuff. Third, in the final one, is danda, which is the full stop of Malayalam. Danda literally means a stick, by the way, because it looks like a stick. And as we discussed the full stop, this would literally declare the end of the video. Please like this video to show your appreciation towards this video, and watch some other videos by me if you click that I button over there, and subscribe to get some to show me some support. I think I got that wrong. I wouldn't take a retake. Anyways, till the next episode, see ya.